I am here with Joe now. Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with me about the I Love You Bro project. You've been on the show. We loved having you on, and it's good to be able to get a little bit more time to chat with you on our podcast. So thanks for talking with me today.
Yeah, it's great to be with you guys. It's always a pleasure to talk about mental health, and especially with men.
Yes, of course. So important. Okay, let's just start with, if people haven't heard of the I Love You Bro project, tell us what it is.
So the I Love You Bro project was born from an incredible, terrible experience that I had with suicide prevention a couple of years ago on an overpass here in Lehi, Utah. And where, a normal Joe like me just happened to be at this event happening at, the right place, right time kind of thing. And, I was very much overwhelmed with, the weight of the moment as I saw this guy standing on the ledge of an overpass. And I said a quick prayer, just like to try to calm myself and to try to get some inspiration on what to say and what to do. And the only thing that could come to my mind and to my mouth was the words, "I love you, bro." And so I opened my arms to this young guy, and I wanted to give him a hug, and just said, "I love you, bro," over and over. And luckily it was the right thing to say to him at the time, and loved him off the ledge, so to speak, and just sat and cried with him and kind of mourned and grieved with him together. Very connective, very beautiful. Again, terrible experience for me. Just because the after effects of this, the event was, it's still with me. But from that experience, I went home, Googled out of curiosity what was available for men as far as mental health, suicide prevention, things like that. What was available to men as far as resources. And I found, some basic general campaigns from the AFSP and NAMI, which are good, but just, again, nothing specific to men. Mm-hmm. Found a lot of, retreat-based organizations that were, for people who are, got some money and people who have time, to wait for that. And so essentially found nothing that could help, my new little brother that I loved off the ledge. And so I was like, is this going to be just a beautiful story to tell, or can this be a moment that turns into a movement? And so I decided to start a nonprofit that gave men, specifically men, mental health resources, suicide prevention resources, and access to a brotherhood and love, essentially. And there was the I Love You Bro project.
Thank you for sharing that story. I can only imagine being in that moment, Joe, and seeing that person. So thankful you were there. What impact did it have on you personally to experience that?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it as I briefly told the story. It's, for me, there's always good. You look at these things and people hear the beautiful story, and it is a remarkable, miraculous story. But for me specifically, I can't drive over an overpass or a bridge or anything without getting some serious high blood pressure, sweat, PTSD. So for me, it's impacted me physically, emotionally on that level individually. But for me, for example, my kids, who were there too, just in the car kind of watching.
Oh, wow.
They, together as a family, this whole I Love You Bro experience and I Love You Bro project has been born and grown from. And so for us as a family, mental health, just like with probably most of the people listening, it's, we believe in mental health. We believe that it's a good thing. We believe in suicide prevention and, reaching out. We believe in all of those good things, but we don't really practice them too often, either by our own actions or by just really ignorance in a lot of ways. And that's kind of how I was, activated into the realm of mental health and suicide prevention. I feel like a higher power shoved me into that arena. And so from now, me and my girls are there setting up our support groups, putting out the donuts and the water and helping me clean up, for all these things that we have. So it's changed our lives forever.
And I think you're right. We don't talk about it as much as we need to. I think we finally are addressing issues, for both men and women. Why do you think that men's mental health specifically is overlooked?
Yeah, it's a good question. On the same Google search that I went, looking for resources for men's mental health and suicide prevention, I saw on that same Google search that nearly 80% of all suicides are men. And so it was shocking to me. A lot of people don't know those numbers. A lot of people don't really know to ask or to even, it's just out of sight, out of mind kind of a thing.
Did you say 80? So, sorry, I have to hear that again. Did you say 80%?
Nearly 80%, especially here in Utah. It's very, very high. And so men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women. Women attempt much more, but men die by suicide at 4 times the level that women do. And so I think, again, average Joe on an overpass has this beautiful, crazy experience, starts this nonprofit with no formal certification history of education, things like that. But so logically, for myself as a man, it's very difficult for me to reach out. I want to solve all the problems. I want to control all the issues and not need the help of anyone else, especially, if it's going to cause a burden in my brain to my kids and to a wife or to loved ones and friends. And so I think that that's been overlooked. Because there are little tiny things that within these general campaigns of suicide prevention that it's kind of lumping everyone together and going after suicide, the issue together when it should be separate. Every community has a different, should be having a different campaigns. So for men, and specifically, we need different kind of marketing, different kind of, just the conversation that I have with our guys in our organization. Everything needs to be separate and distinct, and they all have their own needs. With men specifically, it's a unique uphill battle.
Sure. You talked about this a little. Can we expand on the specific challenges men face? When it comes to seeking help, from wanting to, reach out and make that call or that text or talk to that person?
Yeah. So again, I take everything back to the overpass with Aaron. And so I was trying to think, as we built the I Love You Bro project, what would have helped Aaron? What did Aaron need at that time? And so for men, what I found over this past year and a half of us in our programs, the I Love You Bro project, what I have learned, again, just a dude, just a guy who started this, is I've learned that men need 2 things. They need connection through brotherhood, through, relatability with other men. The second thing they need is a purpose. They need something that drives them to take care of whatever, the kids, the wife, the house, the lawn, you name it. And so with those 2 things, when men start questioning their worth and their value, that's when we go from a normal dude who has a normal life to suicide ideation. So again, an example with my new little brother, who I loved off the ledge, he just happened to have a couple big things happen in a short amount of time. Those 2 things, I think it was his wife leaving him, so an impending divorce, and 2, it was there was some language used between them that made him feel like he wasn't going to see his little son again. So you take those 2 huge things and you give it to a guy who's just really has no mental health history, he's never suffered from anything like depression. You have those 2 things happen, and suddenly he's like, I have no worth, I have no value, I have nothing to offer anyone, so I just must die. And so I know that sounds so out of the world to a lot of people, but in that moment, that is seriously what men are experiencing. So reaching out for help, Aaron didn't have a specific person Men generally are leaning on their wives for that. Once a dude gets married, he kind of gives up his boys, and his bros. Whereas, women maintain those good relationships with sisters, moms, adult children, friends, things like that. And so, again, that burden and that shame of having to get a little bit of help in these, especially in these situations that are just unfathomable, like a normal person in a normal set of, I say normal, I say just a rationality goes out the window.
Sure. Yeah. Well, when you have those big things in life and those two things you said that, where he was experiencing, those are huge. And so, if you don't feel like you have anywhere to turn, and you're struggling with your mental health, it can be, life-changing. And,
Absolutely.
What messages or other messages do you want to convey to men struggling with their mental health issues and suicidal thoughts?
The first thing I would say to anyone is these are totally normal feelings, believe it or not. Don't feel like, I think we're very quick to say, you are not alone, or reach out to someone. I think someone who's experiencing those deep, heavy feelings, sometimes for the first time, is that these are actually pretty normal feelings that people feel. And you are not alone in a sense that everyone is experiencing some level of what you're feeling. Mm-hmm. You're just feeling them extra hard right now. So please, when I say you're not alone, you really aren't, bro. There are others who can feel and sit and not maybe understand exactly, but be in the ballpark of what you're feeling like. The second thing I would say is I would say to women generally, they will 988 is a great resource to everyone. 988 is a great resource to call and get someone quickly. Learn about resources in your area. For men, it's difficult to do that even on your own. So what I always say is lean into a loved one if you have one. If it's a buddy you haven't talked to in a while, if it's if it is your wife, then speak up just a little bit. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then especially if you're in Utah, reach out to us. And we have a support group probably fairly close to you somewhere. It does take a lot of effort, and it is intimidating. And so I think when I'm talking generally to people, I want to say you are not alone, because you're not. I also want to say I love you, bro. And I say that with all of my heart. It never gets old to me. I say it all. I say it all the time. But it's what I do, and it's what it really is that first initial connection. Connect with someone if you're feeling these feelings, because more than likely they've had something, similar, and then they can lead you. Call 988 with you. They can come with you to one of our groups or call us or email me. One way or the other, there are resources out there.
Yeah, and you know what? And I've met you, Joe, and you can just feel. I mean, you're one of the most genuine human beings on this planet. As soon as I met you, when Joe says he loves you, he means it. He means it. And if you're listening and struggling, we love you too here at Fresh Living. I love you, and you aren't alone. And I'm so glad, Joe, that you're here to help people through this thing called life. It's hard, it's really hard. And we'll wrap up too in a little bit. I have some more questions for you with 988, but I wanted to ask really quick. You mentioned 988. Can we text that as well, or is that just calling?
Yes. You can text or call 988. It is a national number, but when you text or call 988, it will send you straight over to our partners at the Huntsman Mental Health Institute there in Salt Lake City, and they're freaking awesome. I've talked to them. I've gone through the process myself just to learn what that experience is. I invite anyone listening just to go through. You'll learn a bunch on what people tell you. Resources in your area, they'll give you those as well. And so when you do, calling 988 is so intimidating for anyone. And so, or texting even it's a big step, which is understandable. So what I always suggest is, if you have a loved one or a friend who can call with you, it will be a learning experience for both of you, a really bonding, connective experience. I've done it with guys who have come in to our groups who I know are suicidal. They're suffering. And so I'll take them into the next room and we'll call together. It's humanizes 988.
Sure.
You say 988, hey, call if you experience it. Let's push that out there. That's great and everything. But man, it's intimidating to call that on my own. I would love if someone would do it with me. I may not ask for that, but as people who are have loved ones who might be suffering, let's be proactive and say, dude, you don't have to do that alone. I will do it with you.
Yeah. Makes the world a difference if you can have someone there with you. That's so true. Joe, can you explain the various programs offered by the I Love You Bro project, such as like support groups and workshops?
Yeah. So again, kind of taking it back to the overpass, what was he needing at the time that could have really helped him? And so the first thing that he was missing was connection. He didn't have anyone he felt he could lean into, a trusted loved one or a friend. And so I was like, okay, well, let's build or facilitate connection between men and offer this through our support groups. So we offer free weekly support groups. They are great, safe spaces for men. Men don't like to say that word safe. We live on the edge. So I'll say like, okay, these are shame-free. This is a shame-free zone for dudes to come, leave their masks at the door. I'm talking dad, husband mask. I'm talking, business mask, and those gym bro masks that are super heavy. I'll say leave that gym bro mask at the door. Come in, feel your feels. And it's, again, the I Love You Bro project with these support groups. We absolutely promote. The first thing is for men to have emotions. Second thing, to show emotions. And the third thing is to share emotions. So our support groups, through this sharing or open invitation to share, we start seeing guys open up a little bit. And it's a muscle they haven't been able to use in their life a lot of times. They can't. They don't even know how to cry sometimes, these guys. And so through that sharing and through, when you get a group full of 12 dudes and, 1 or 2, 3, they start sharing. I kind of liken it to karaoke. If you go karaoke, you get the first person. It's tough to get that first person up, start singing. But once the first person gets up, man, the whole room starts opening up a little bit. It's the same that has to go, that goes with our support groups. And so absolutely, when men can start seeing other men, specifically other dudes, open up and be vulnerable and share their emotions and feelings, that gives them a unspoken permission to do so themselves, so that they can start sharing the stresses of their life, their relationship issues they wish they could solve. These support groups are weekly reminders for men that you have worth, bro. Your worth is not connected to your challenge, to your divorce, to your weight, to your whatever.
Oh, that's good.
It's not connected at all. And human beings need to be reminded of that often. And in that we are not our challenges. Our worth is heavenly and glorious. And lots of times our guys, they just need to be reminded of that. And whether you have, if this is a wife listening, or a mom or a daughter, it's so awesome. We won't ask for it, but dudes love to hear, you know what? Thank you so much for showing up. I love that you show up for our family. Men love to hear that. They love to hear that stuff. And so these support groups are first kind of foundational, I would say, program for the I Love You Bro project. And those are weekly. And so from there, we started, again, addressing what his needs were. Aaron, his name's Aaron, he needed some training, some education. He didn't know how to help himself. And so we started our life workshops called Let's Grow Bro, where guys can come in. We have clinicians come teach and educate. Guys can come into, again, a safe space where they can share with each other and interact with our educators on everything from marriage and relationships to suicide, to addictions, alcohol, prescription drugs, to how to be a better dad, to how to breathe, better. All of these things that really aren't available unless you go find a podcast or on YouTube. Nothing's interactive like these workshops. They're one of a kind. And so we offer these free workshops that we try to do 1 or 2 a month. we say they're bi-weekly. So, and we change topics often. We have an anger management one coming up. Things like that where they're tough to find. Some of that type of training. And then our third program we offer is called You and Me, Bro. It essentially is free therapy for men. We provide up to 5 sessions with our board clinician with solution-based, direction and help for guys who don't just want to go to someone and be like, oh, look at the time, let's meet next week. That's not what we do. Everything is solution-based, and we're there to help you on a personal level. And then our exciting thing is we have our I Love You Sis workshops that are coming up very soon, next month, October 19th, where we are going to have these similar workshops, but for women, and for women taught by our lead clinician, Emily Fries. She's going to come in and help our women learn how to be a better support to their husband, their son, their, friend. And these topics will be everything from men's mental health and understanding it to, different, patterns and that men experience with suicide, things like that, and how to be a better support to those people in their lives that are men. And so we have a lot of beautiful, brilliant things happening with the I Love You Bro Project. All can be found on our website, iloveyoubroproject.org. Or I think, in my opinion, is just follow us on Instagram. It's, we post pretty often on there daily.
You do. It's a great place to follow.
Yeah, it is what we do. And so for anyone listening who, kind of wants to get involved to whatever extent, I'd love to have you shoot me a message, or a dude out there who might be listening, who might be struggling or has a friend or someone who's struggling. 988 is a great resource. I would love if you could, call or talk to them first and then go to your buddy. Ask them straight up, hey, how can I help you that's comfortable for you? Because I want to. And we'd love to have you come to our groups. That's where I try to point all the guys. Mm-hmm. Just come to our group. Just feel it out. See what it's like.
You're doing amazing stuff, Joe. I want to ask you a couple more things. What can participants expect from the support group? If they're worried about it being, not safe and supportive and private, sure. And they want to feel safe, of course. So what can people expect if they show up?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say when you come to one of our support groups, so for example, our North Provo group, it's actually at a counseling group called New Beginnings Counseling Group. Our South Provo's at the Rocky Mountain University Counseling Clinic. Those ones are, a little easier for guys to go to because they're at, counseling centers. Whereas our West Jordan group is at a real estate office. It's just a kind of a normal office, So I would say, I'll use West Jordan as an example. When you were if a guy was to walk into a group, he would see a pretty basic, we have chairs, and it is in a circle, believe it or not, dudes, it works. But, we have, you'll see many guys there. It won't be where you are, when you walk in, you are an embarrassed newbie. We have guys there who come very regularly because they love the connections that they build there. But when you come in, you'll sit down. Each group has a facilitator. I do most of them myself. And so we start with ice-breaking, cards, questions, and get to know each other. And then from there, we start opening up a little bit. Sometimes it's me opening up, kind of paving the way, opening up about my week. And I'm a super emotional guy anyway. I don't care what anybody thinks. So I'll be the first one who generally gets emotional. And these guys will, see that and start following my lead. Like I was saying earlier, that they feel that permission to start opening up. And so when you come to one of our groups, they're only an hour and a half. I always say, if you're too embarrassed to say where you're going to go, just tell your wife or whoever you're going to go do some community service for the I Love You Bro Project.
There you go.
That's essentially what you're doing, bro. When you come, you're coming. The guys who come to our groups, they're coming to not only get that connection, but they're coming to also receive counsel from a really smart group of dudes, from all ages, all different challenges, all different addictions, all different whatever. We have another reason why guys come, and what they seek is, they want to help others. Once they've received counsel and help, they want to come bring that value back to our groups, making them better. And so they are for everyone. Also, obviously, they are for people who are in a crisis as well. We're there for you, but they're also for people who are having beautiful weeks. Please, we invite you to bring your beautiful weeks to our group, because a lot of guys, they don't have the luxury of having that right now. And so our support group's very chill, very open. What can I say? It's an open invitation. They're free. Come check it out. If you don't like it, try another group, because we got multiple groups: Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, from Salt Lake down to Utah County.
Okay, we're going to wrap up here, Joe. You're doing such amazing things. Thank you. I personally thank you for coming on the show, and then also being on our podcast to talk about this. It's so important. It's people's lives, and it's something to be said about not feeling like you're alone, and to hear that just one person is there for you. Joe, if someone's listening, they're going through some stuff, what advice would you give to somebody who's a little hesitant, a little nervous to, seek help for their mental health?
First thing I would say is, I'm assuming, these people, if they're in a crisis, I love you, bro. I really do. There are so many people who love you, who want to help you. We just need to give them a little permission to do so. And it's extremely tough for us to think outside of our feelings at the moment. And so these loved ones that we can trust, who want us to stay around, they want us to be with them, and they want to help us. And so we need to let's give them just a little permission to do so. Reach out to them, if it's just through a text or a call, or whoever that trusted loved one is. If you don't have one right now, I feel you. I feel for you too, because I have often not had one myself, because I didn't want to put a burden on my kids, that kind of a burden. I know now I can call or text 988, and there is someone actively waiting to talk to me, who will at least get me to that next step. God, put me in the right direction. We need you here. We need you to show up. We need your love and your value and your spirit and your talent and your love. We really desperately, our community and our families, we need you. That would be the first thing that I would say to you. And it's an open invitation to call or text 988, or to reach out to the I Love You Bro Project. If you are a dude, listen to this, come be with us, bro. Come be Tuesday nights in West Jordan, Wednesday nights in North Provo, Thursday nights South Provo. We're opening up a Thursday night in Murray early next year too. We're trying to get to you guys. We're trying to give us a little bit, bro. Reach out just a little bit, just enough. We want to help.
That's so good. Joe, thank you. And yes, remember, you are loved. We love you too here from Fresh Living. I love you. And Joe, I love you, bro.
I love you, bros. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate you so much. Thank you. What a wonderful podcast, Joe. Great to talk with you. And I'm sure we'll hear more from you soon. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
And thank you for listening to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. Please rate, review, and subscribe. And we will see you next week. Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.